What's going on YouTube? It's Nia Simone here and I am back with another video. If you follow me on my socials already, which will be linked down below, you will see that I am an avid Disney goer. Like, I probably go to Disney about twice a month. And you know, I'm rocking my Disney merch today. There's just so many things to do. Flower and Garden Festival, Food and Wine Festival, the Not So Scary Halloween party, the Christmas party, so many different events going on at Disney and I enjoy it. If you're watching this video, you enjoy it as well. As you can see from the title, today's video is gonna be discussing Rise of the Resistance. At Hollywood Studios, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is the newest park expansion that Disney has completed thus far in their reboot and remodel of all of the Disney parks. So the newest attraction that is at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is called the Rise of the Resistance. It's pretty much the hardest ride to get onto at this point in time. Disney uses a virtual boarding group system. This allows you to stand in a virtual boarding queue without having to physically be in the line. As of the date of this video, you have to use the virtual boarding group. There currently is no FastPass Plus option. So I'm gonna be giving you guys 10 tips in order to secure your boarding group at Rise of the Resistance. So far, I have a 100% track record and it has worked every single time. Hopefully, I'll continue to have a 100% track record in getting a boarding group that has been under 20 so far. Be sure to like this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I upload every Tuesday, and comment down below on what boarding group you were able to secure for yourself, either going to Disney World or at Disneyland for Rise of the Resistance. So tip number 1, plan on being there at least 20 minutes before park opening. As you know, I am a big proponent of rope dropping every time that I go to Disney. You are going to have to rope drop, especially for Hollywood Studios if you plan on going to Rise of the Resistance. It's just how it is. Now, you don't have to be there 2-3 hours early either. I've seen people, park opening will be 8 o'clock, they're already there at 6. The only restriction that you have in terms of getting there at park opening is in order to secure your boarding group, you have to be scanned in. So that doesn't mean in the parking lot, that doesn't mean at home back at your hotel. You have to at least be scanned in by the cast members at the park entrance in order to secure a boarding group. If you're not scanned in and did the fingerprint in order to get into the park entrance, then it won't register in the system as you actually being there. So my suggestion is to get there at least 20 minutes before park opening. That should give you enough time to park, walk to the entrance where you have to do bag check, through bag check, scan into the park entrance where you have to do your little fingerprint, and then waiting either in Starbucks or another line for a ride. Tip number 2, do not sign into Disney Wi-Fi. I have had personal experience where the Disney Wi-Fi is extremely slow because everybody is on it at the same time. If you do not use the Disney Wi-Fi, I guarantee you your internet connection will work 1,000 times better. And in terms of the boarding groups, it's pretty much first come, first serve. You don't really want to use the Disney Wi-Fi because the odds of you getting a boarding group are pretty slim. Tip number 3 that I have for you guys, definitely download the My Disney Experience app. The My Disney Experience app is available through the Google Play Store as well as the App Store. This is definitely the easiest and less stressful way of securing your boarding group. Tip number 4, have everyone present that is going to ride Rise of the Resistance in your party at the park the same time that you are trying to get the boarding group. The easiest way to do this is to add your friends and family into your My Disney Experience app that you've already downloaded if you saw tip number 3. You might think that you can leave your kids back at home and they can get some extra hours of sleep. Unfortunately, if they're not present and they're not scanned in through the entrance of the park, you won't be able to add them to your boarding group. Tip number 5, make sure you refresh the app 3 to 5 minutes before park opening. At official park opening is when they release all the boarding groups for Rise of the Resistance, so you want to make sure that about 3 to 5 minutes before that time, you go ahead and refresh the app. Now the app is notorious for having crashes, so at least if you can open the app and make sure that everything's functioning within the app, this eliminates having the app crash on you when you actually go to add the boarding groups once park opening happens. Tip number 6, as soon as you hear the announcement at official park opening time, that's basically gonna say something along the lines of, welcome to Hollywood Studios, Rise of the Resistance, boarding groups are now available. Please do not wait for that announcement to be over before you go in and try and secure your boarding groups. As soon as you hear the announcement, that's when you need to go in and start joining the boarding group if you can. If you wait all the way till the end of the announcement, most of the time the boarding groups are already filled. You're gonna probably get a backup boarding group. Once all of the regular boarding groups have gone on the ride, the backup boarding group queue starts. Pretty much if you're in a backup boarding group, you're not guaranteed to ride the ride. Most of the time, if you get an early backup boarding group number, you're probably gonna go at the end of the day. They have to make sure that the ride has periodic stops throughout the day so that it just doesn't freeze up and seize up completely. So tip number 7, once they make the announcement, my recommendation is to go through the My Status section, click the Join Boarding Group button, and try and add everybody in your party and confirm the boarding group that way. Some people wait for this little red light to appear on the Join Boarding Group section. What ends up happening is not everybody will see the Join Boarding Group alert that pops up. It's usually a little red button that says Join Boarding Group once it's available. However, from what I've heard from other people is sometimes that button doesn't actually pop up. You end up having to either go through the My Status option, which will probably give you a later boarding group, or you just won't get on at all. Click the My Status button, click the Join Boarding Group button, go through that way by adding everybody in your party and confirming that everybody's added and you want to secure the boarding group that way. Tip number 8, you're going to want to try and select the people that are going to be riding with you for your boarding group as quickly as possible. Time is of the essence with this boarding group selection. So the more time that it takes for you to add more people into your boarding group, the longer it's gonna take for you to add yourself into the actual queues that are going as everybody is selecting them in the park. Have everybody that's riding with you download the My Disney Experience app and you all try adding yourselves to the boarding groups at the same time. The advantage of having multiple people trying to select the boarding groups at the same time is that in case the app crashes on you, you have another person that's also trying to secure your boarding group for everybody in the group. Tip number 9, screenshot the boarding group once you have it confirmed. A little quick story time. The very first time I went to ride Rise of the Resistance, I got group 18. You had 2 hours at the time to return back. When the app went to refresh, it completely removed the boarding group. This way, in case the app crashes for you, by taking a screenshot of the image of the time that you were able to secure the boarding group, you'll be able to go to guest services and they can manually add you back into the boarding group that was posted for you at that time. The last tip that I have for you, tip number 10, you have your boarding group secured or your backup boarding group. Join the queue for the line towards the end of your callback time. So usually what happens is once you secure your boarding group, you get a return time. This is the time that you have to be back and scan into the virtual queue for Rise of the Resistance in order to be able to ride. Usually once people get called, they're so eager to ride the ride that there's sort of a longer wait if you go right when your boarding group is called versus when you go back towards the end of that time. Like I said before, they do not offer fast pass options for this ride, so if you miss your time, you miss your time. There's nothing that a cast member can do to add you back into the virtual queue once your callback time has already passed. So if you check out my video next Tuesday, you will see my personal review of Rise of the Resistance, and I'll also include some of the footage from the ride so you know what to expect. Getting to the actual ride is a ride within itself. It's just a really fun experience and you'll know what to expect before you get there. If you enjoyed this video, click that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more videos I upload every Tuesday, and comment down below on whether my tips work for you or if you want to do something different or what boarding group you got. I want to know. As always, you guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys next Tuesday.